And we are live after much talk, after much debate, after much planning. I'm so excited to announce it is the new year. And with the new year comes the world's most exciting podcast on the planet, the Chosen Life podcast. It is real and it is here. And for our first guest ever, I'm proud to introduce one of my best friends, one of the greatest men I know, George Tremis, realtor, entrepreneur. George, thank you so much for joining us today.
Jonathan, thank you so much, my good friend, and thank you for those compliments. You're making me a little bit red here, blushing, but that's okay. I'm sure it'll go away. So really happy to be here, especially for the inaugural episode. I think this is amazing. I think the podcast is going to be amazing. So thank you so much for letting me be part of the first.
My pleasure. My pleasure. You know, I brought you on because you could only make me look good because you bring so much great energy. You're the sexiest man in real estate. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I got the man here. So by association, you know, I look just that much better. So thank you. Thank you. For people, we were having a conversation before going on the air, and George is one of my mentors, inspirations. My life where would be much different. You know, it's funny when one person comes into your life and all of a sudden the roads change. One little moment when George came into my life, we were working together in real estate, myself as a lawyer, George as a realtor. And I was telling George over and over that my plan was to go into boxing. I was going to train and go into a charity match. I was training for almost 2 years for this. And that was my game plan. I'm all excited to go, except I suck. And every time I get injured, so I'm in and out of the sports clinic, you know, tearing a calf, tearing a groin. And George looks at me and he's like, why are you doing this to yourself? I remember we were sitting at my office that one day and you're like, please stop doing this. All you got to do is look at your bod. You got it. I'm telling you, you got the physique. Go into bodybuilding, fitness, modeling show. Why do you want to go to boxing? You know, and I thought about it. I said, do you really think I could pull it off? And he goes, yeah, right now, the way you are, even without preparing, you could go on and you could win. Trust me. And that really, really stuck with me. And I marinated on it for about a week. And then I called George up and I said, listen, give me your guy, give me who you used for your show, because George has done the shows as well. And the whole path got led because of that one conversation. From that conversation, I had multiple trainers. Before the show, one of my trainers, good friends, Jared, he prepared the shirt for the team. And he took one of my pictures from Instagram and put it together. And I loved it so much. Everybody's wearing it. And then I started wearing it to work. And that became a whole thing. And the Chosen Lawyer theme grew. And here we are in the Chosen Life podcast, all from that one conversation. So George, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This would not be possible without you.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm happy to have played a small part in it, but really it's what you did. I mean, it's like Mr. Destiny. Maybe it just kind of pushed things in one direction, but your tenacity, your determination, your perseverance, that's what fueled it to get to where it is now. So, you know, it evolved and took on a life of its own, but it all started with you and your efforts, your blood, sweat, and tears, they say, or the prayers, the training, and the vitamins.
Hulkamania running wild. You got it.
That's right.
It's funny because they say that people you're happy with or people you're upset with, the truth of the matter is it really is not those people, it's within you, right? So when you see these people, it's like you're looking into a mirror and you're either choosing to see the best of yourself or the worst in yourself. And when I see George Tremis, what I see in the mirror, I see the best of me. George brings out the best in me, his energy, his charisma, he plants the seeds, and it just gels. That's why we gel together, you know, and that's the kind of energy, that's the kind of people you want to bring into your life, and everybody should want to. And that's a great segue to our theme today. So for the first ever podcast, we're technically recording this. This is not live. It was recorded on December 31st, but it's going to be played in the new year as the first episode. So we're creating what's called a New Year's theme and talking about where we want to go, what we should be doing in the New Year. So on the format of the Chosen Life podcast, again, much marination and thinking about how I'm going to go about it. The format's really simple. We got 3 topics, things that George and I both like, and feeding information to the world about these particular topics. So we're keeping it really simple, but conversations that anybody could be having at this point, you know, fun things that we both like, we would want to be watching on a podcast, and that's what we want to bring to others. And on that note, in the future, people watching this, you want to appear on the Chosen Life podcast, send in your application and we will consider you. And then when I'm assessing each of the future guests, I'm looking at what their strengths are, what their areas of likes are, and those are the kind of topics we're going to talk about. It could be anything from exercise, nutrition, wrestling, boxing, gossip, you name it, we'll talk about it, as long as it's fun and it's not that controversial. So on that note, George, we're sitting here now, we're going to start the new year, right? And as everybody on the planet sits and thinks about the year coming, they're saying to themselves, what's my resolutions? Topic number one, what is our resolutions for the year? And what is the deal with people coming up with these goals for the year? Are they real goals or are they just BS goals that are never going to happen? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny. It is a great segue because we're talking about, being surrounded around people that motivate, inspire you, push you, help you to dream bigger, do more. And so that's a great segue into this. And I think that's probably one of the goals people should set for themselves. But to take a step back to your question, I always find it amusing, the whole New Year's resolution thing. And I mean, at one point in time, I did get caught in it as well. It's like, oh, here's my list of resolutions and things I'm going to do to have a better life. But the fact of the matter is, I came to realize it's like you're saying, oh, tomorrow I'm going to do this, or January 1st, I'm going to do this. So you're already starting out deferring your decision. So is it really a decision if you've deferred it? Because a decision happens in an instant, right? I mean, I'm taking some of this from Tony Robbins. And so I mean, you really want to do something, today's the day to do it. You don't need to wait for an arbitrary January 1st. Now, some people like to set that milestone because it's symbolic, but then I think it becomes about the symbolism as opposed to the actuality of wanting to make a real change.
Interesting. So your New Year's could happen at any point during the year on that token.
That's right.
If I take it on to another step though, when I make my goals, my resolutions, whatever you want to call them, I agree with you. I don't have to set them January 1st. My goals for this upcoming year, I set them all of last year. So last year, 2021 was my steps to getting 2021 things done, but I'm already thinking ahead to what I'm going to start doing in the following year. So as soon as I'm finished the one item, I'm going to jump into the next one. It so happened that my three biggest goals of the year, I actually wrapped them up perfectly at the end of 2021. So it's a perfect segue into starting into 2022. But my 2021 ones, I didn't start them all at the beginning of January 2021. Some started in late 2020, some started in mid-year, But I like that timeline, at least, where you're saying, okay, I'm ready now, I'm going to implement this, but I want to have a conclusion. I don't want this going on until the end of time and come 10 years down the road and saying, what the hell did I do with my life? I want it started, I want to complete it by a certain date. Does that sound realistic to you?
It makes perfect sense. And you talking about us gelling, I mean, case in point right there. I mean, one of the things I thought about leading up to our podcast here is the fact that, I think you described it without saying it in this way, but it's beginning with the end in mind. So, I mean, if you do want to set goals and milestones, I think that's a little bit different than the getting started piece I was talking about. In that case, you're starting with 2023 and working back and saying, what do I need to do in 2022 to be where I want to be in 2023, which is literally what you just said, but with 2021 and 2022. So, we did gel on that 100%. And I do believe that's the right way of going about it, is saying, who do I want to be? Where do I want to be in the future? And then how do I work back from there? And then filling out your calendar, because I think people don't put those milestones in, they don't put those things in their calendar. And I have this expression that if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist.
Agreed. Or to-do list, right? It has to be somewhere, right? The one place it should not be is in here. You should be ruminating in here and having it building up in your mind. And you have this giant thing that you feel like you got to do. You don't know where to begin. You don't know where to end. And it's putting so much pressure that the easiest thing is just to walk away from it, right?
Yep, totally.
I actually sat down yesterday and I wrote a blog entry for the Corman's website. And I was talking to you about it a little bit. And the one thing I went to it, I was thinking, we're going to have this discussion. How do I go about setting a goal? How do I go about setting a resolution? And I thought to myself, I'm going to give a sneak peek right now, but 4 really easy steps. Make a list of every single thing you want to accomplish in life right now. Just sit down and brainstorm and write every single thing you think you possibly want to do, personal, professional, material, whatever you got to do. Then leave that list and walk away from it. Come back in a day, a 2, a week, whatever. Narrow down that list, pick the finite goals that you really, really want to get done. Then sit down, make the list of steps that you got to do, baby steps, assign them due dates, and then execute. That's it. It's not that hard. Like people are sitting there, oh, I got to lose 50 pounds. Oh, I got to start working out. So do it, whatever. You don't have to lose the 50 pounds tomorrow. You don't have to train 10 hours tomorrow. Make a plan, set it in your calendar. Like George says, it's an appointment now. It's like a doctor's appointment. I'm going to the gym tomorrow. I'm going to eat a little better tomorrow, and I'm going to even better the next day. You know, whatever it's got to be. All those little steps. You know, like that old proverb where they're saying you have a bowl, it's empty. Every day you put one little pebble. It doesn't seem like much, but by the end of the year, you filled the bowl. If every day you made one little step towards your goals, you're actually going to achieve them versus just focusing on the goals, but not knowing where to begin.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's being said, success is consistent execution against the plan. So it's what you do consistently on a regular basis, right? And so I think the way we're discussing and talking about in the great four-step strategy laid out is about that. It's about getting the big picture narrowed down and then laying it out in a timeline. This is a 10-month, this is a 1 month, this is what I need to do daily to get to where I need to be, and then execute against that plan. And then you'll get to where you want to go. The truth is you'll always end up at a destination. The question is it a well-crafted destination or just where you end up by chance?
So on that note, like you take on many roles, many hats. Anybody else doing one thing you're doing, George, would struggle with it. They're like, this is a big undertaking in this role, this career, whatever you want to call it. Being an entrepreneur, I can't tell you how many times you and I have met and you're like, okay, I got an idea now, a big project, and this is going to be a great money maker. This is going to be really successful. And I'm like, another one. How does this man do it? And then you come with the dates, you come with the game plan, and you're like, I have the business plan ready. Like when George comes to me, he doesn't come to me with some far shot idea. You come to me with decisions. You come to me with a plan, you know, versus most people that tell me they're going to do something, they just tell me abstractly, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be an astronaut. Great. How are you going to go about that? Oh, you would actually come to me and tell me, I'm going to space school. I bought the equipment already. This is the timeline. This is when I've got to pass my test. How do you, as an entrepreneur, how does an idea come to you? How do you execute? How do you decide that this is something I'm going to go with? Like, walk us through your thought process on when you decide to take on a project like that professionally.
Well, it's a great question. And thank you for the compliment. I think that it starts out with curiosity. So, you know, I got teased a lot as a kid, curious George, the curious little monkey, all that stuff. But hey, guess what? Curiosity served me really well. So I think when you have a curious mindset and curious nature, you always question why. Why is something like this? Why is it like that? Why does it have to be like that? Why is this working or why is that not working? And then when you do that and you come at it from a place of service and saying, how can I bring value to people? Whether it's my good friend, the chosen lawyer, whether it's, you know, Jim down the street or whoever it may be, the point is I'm coming from a place of service. So I'm saying, where's there an opportunity to bring some value that isn't being brought currently? But then once that idea starts to, germinate, then I got to figure out how to fertilize it, how to feed it and everything else. And then that comes from looking around at all the resources. And by resources, I mean relationships first and foremost, and saying who could facilitate this, who wants to be on board, who wants to be part of the dream, who wants to move it forward. And then getting those people in place, because I mean, this is hokey, but it's true. There's no I in team. So the only reason these ventures go forward is because I surround myself with competent, capable, enthusiastic, motivated people that want to make something happen. You know, whether that's coming to you and saying, hey, Jonathan, I got this idea and here's the plan. Can you please help me execute it from a legal standpoint and strategic, because your thoughts go beyond that of a lawyer. Like you're a business lawyer. There's a big difference. So I do appreciate that and thank you for that. But then that's how it comes to be, right? And then the rest is just coloring in between the lines.
I love that, and you're right. I know as from I don't see myself first and foremost as a lawyer. I see myself as I'm in the make your life easy business. When somebody brings me something, my job is to figure it out and make their lives really, really simple. And so when I hear what you're saying, it's like you have this vision. You can either find opportunities or you could see an existing product, an existing service and saying, I think this could be done better. Why hasn't anybody else thought of this? And boom, you jump into it, you know? I think anybody listening right now, it doesn't matter your occupation, it doesn't matter your career, your business, whatever you're into. I think one of the greatest challenges and then the greatest defeat you can have in life is when you're working day to day on something in your role, and then all of a sudden it's 5 years have passed and 10 years have passed, and you say, what have I done with my life? What have I accomplished? I have been digging a hole for 5 years. I have taken paper and written on paper and shuffled that paper into a basket, and more paper came. I answered a bunch of emails, but where did my life go? What the hell did I accomplish here? I am in the exact same position, making the exact same money, and I have gone nowhere. I'm sitting in quicksand, and that terrifies me. And I refuse to live my life like that. That is just, to me, that's really, really scary. And when I'm working in life, I tell myself, I can't continue on unless I'm working towards something professionally and personally. If I'm just working and just going by my day to day, and I got my laundry done, I got my cooking done, and I went to work and I came back, I can't live like that, because I have to work towards a bigger purpose. And I think that's what separates the leaders. That's what separates the entrepreneurs versus the foot soldiers, you know? And it's okay to be a foot soldier. The army needs foot soldiers, absolutely. And in any business, you need the soldiers that will do that. But at the end of the day, are you good with 9 to 5? Are you good with clocking in, clocking out, doing the bare minimum, doing your job, not questioning it, not trying to figure out how to do the job better, not improving yourself, improving your business? You know, is that what you really want? And I think that's how people have to really question themselves, because in that kind of mentality, those are the people I think that come to New Year's and say to themselves, you know, I need to lose weight, and I need to get ahead in life. And they set these abstract goals. There's no steps. They give up within 2 weeks to a month, and they're right back to square one the next year. And that's really, really sad.
Well, I think it's also because they're not being in the moment, to your point, right? And that's, at least that's part of what I got from what you're saying, is they're so busy focused on the end goal, they're not even living the moment to get them there. So of course, 2-3 months later, they're dissatisfied, they're jaded, they just keep seeing the end, but they're not enjoying the process or the journey.
Yep.
And tying back into what you were saying, I mean, the foot soldiers are the backbone of any business. It's like, without all the team members I have, my business partners, etc., I wouldn't be where I am. Not a chance. I can't do it all. I don't know it all. And God forbid the day that I think I know it all, I'm in trouble, right? So they're critical and essential. But I think that everybody can be a leader in their own choice, right? So not everybody needs to be the strategist. Not everybody needs to be the chosen lawyer. There's the people that choose to be the best they can be within their roles, and they're content at that. And perfect example is, last time I was at the grocery store, there's a teller at the grocery store. I purposely choose to go see her. Her name's Vicky, because she is exceptional. She's friendly, she's considerate, she's thoughtful, she's efficient at what she does, personable. And it's like, you know what, I would love to hire you for one of my companies, right? And she just does what she does, and she does it as best as she can, and she's in the moment. And so she's a leader with her own scope or field, within her own field, right? And I think everybody can aspire to be great in what they're doing. Not everybody has to be Elon Musk or the chosen lawyer.
It's amazing how much we're talked about in the same breath there. But that's a really good point to end this topic of of starting off with your New Year's resolutions. Maybe when you do have your goal, when you create your steps, also think about it. Create the best team that you can. Being a leader of your own life, I hear what you're saying. I'm thinking at the end of the day, when I execute and I finish off a goal, I didn't do every single step, but I was smart enough to realize I'm good at this, I'm not very good at that or that or that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in professionals, and they're going to lead me through it. And then guess what? It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there, which is a great segue to our second topic, gym life. How often do we discuss this? I mean, the one thing you look at George, when you want to see somebody who's really, really Jackzilla, it's when they look jacked in a dress shirt. Then you know they're like Batista, John Cena, George Tremis. This is when you see somebody and you're like, okay, they don't have to wear schmedium like the chosen lawyer. They actually got it. So people start off the year and they're saying, and throughout the year, how often do I need to work out? How often should I be going to the gym? And one of the things that I always throw out to people is this much. You're busy in your life. You're good at your role in your career. That's great. In your home life. Did you go to school for gym, for fitness and health? Do you understand when you should be working out, how you should be working out, what body parts in what order and in what sets and reps, etc. The truth of the matter is, if you want to be really good at that, why not bring in a trainer into your life? Have them show you, they made the game plan. All you got to do is execute. And having a trainer, I found in my life, and connecting with the right trainer, it's mountains difference. If I work out one session with my trainer, Jared, it means more than 4 sessions on my own, because I'm never going to push myself to those kind of levels. I don't have the foresight of how to work the body parts in what order, and that makes a really big difference. So creating that team and having that kind of mentality, putting that kind of leadership into your gym life, rather than I'm just going to show up at Good Life or LA Fitness. I'm going to do a couple reps on a machine, and then I'm going to talk for 30 minutes, and I'll do a couple more reps, and then I'll go take a shower in a sauna, and I'll go home and I worked out. What do you think of gym life there, George?
I think you brought up a lot of interesting and amusing points, and it triggered a lot of thoughts. First and foremost, I agree with you about the trainer. So I'm the guy that grew up as a kid reading Muscle and Fitness magazine, the Joe Wader magazines. I was drinking those shakes in the early days when they were like liquid chalk. And I thought I knew my stuff. I really did. And yeah, I made some progress, etc. But when I hired actual coaches in different areas, the progress I made was unbelievable, which ties back into what we're talking about. You got to build that dream team, if you will. And you don't know what you don't know. So I thought I knew a whole bunch of stuff reading these magazines, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And these coaches brought things to a new level. So as far as like going alone or going it with somebody, if you can afford that advice, that coaching, then by all means go for it. And if you think about it, the most valuable thing we have is time. So are we maximizing our time at that 45 minutes or that 1 hour in the gym? Well, I'll tell you, I maximize it a lot more with my trainer. Even if I know the routine, I push a little harder. It's the observation effect. It's proven. So, I mean, you're investing in yourself when you invest in the right team around you in the context of the gym, it'll push you further faster.
Those people that say, I can't afford the gym, I can't afford a trainer, those are the same people lined up at Tim's, at Starbucks, getting a cappuccino, getting a breakfast sandwich. You know what? Go down to Costco, grab yourself a big tin of coffee, make your coffee at home, grab a thing of English muffins, grab a giant thing of oatmeal, cook your oatmeal on the pot every morning. If you take that money that you waste into food that actually isn't really nourishing you at all, and you put that money into better food into your system, and you save that money and you put that money towards your gym, your trainer, the money is there. It's all in priorities. People with almost no income, all of a sudden, I see them, oh, I got another new pair of $300 shoes, oh, I got another new dress. I decided to upgrade my car because it's, but your car was fine. Like, what was wrong with it? Well, it's all in life priorities at the end of the day. And I look at it as far as gym life, everything else, that's the one thing I would splurge on. And I don't even see it as a splurge because it's keeping me alive. It's quantity of life and quality of life. So if the one most important thing is to enjoy your life and be alive, and that's going to directly lead to it, why would you not do it? To me, it's a no-brainer. And I've seen people worth millions of dollars, and they could have a trainer every day if they wanted to for the rest of their lives. Money is no object, and they just don't want to. They don't think that they need it, and they don't want it, which is fine. But at the end of the day, what are they choosing to do with their lives from a health perspective? I mean, this is not shoving gym life and everything down people's throats. But at the end of the day, whether we're 30, 40, 50, 60, what is your health like? What is your medical conditions? Are you on pills? Do you have to get surgeries? If you had gone to the gym, if you had gone to take care of your body, would it have broken down the same way? Would you feel a lot better? I've seen people in their 70s doing yoga classes in the gym, and they're more flexible than I was when I was 20.
You know what? I think the fitness part of it, whether you want to go to the gym, whether you want to do yoga, is critical. And I think the people that say, why do I need it? You don't know what you need because you don't know what you're missing out on. Yep. Right. And the fact of the matter is that time you spend, if you spend it right, it actually creates efficiency and synergy. So even on vacation, I will work out every morning on vacation. I sleep better on the beach. I swim better. I read better on the beach. I party better at the party pool. Everything's done better because I started my day out with a workout. Now, whether you're an end of day workout person, beginning of the day, I mean, that's a personal choice thing, but healthy lifestyle will contribute. And it's funny even that in this day and age that we're actually talking about it, like it's still something that's questioned, the value of it, but it's definitely there. But, I think tying into that, if I may, one more thing, and it ties into our previous topic as well, is there's this exercise I learned about called stop, start, continue.
Okay.
I love stop, start, continue. So whether it's in the context of the gym or New Year's resolution, they tie in beautifully together. It's not just what am I going to start in the new year? What's serving me well that I'm going to continue? And what am I going to stop doing that's undermining me? And I guarantee you, and I could confess all the things I do that undermine me. Those are the things I got to stop doing. Right. And everybody has them. We all undermine ourselves. So that stop, start, continue is great, even for the gym.
Yeah, no, great thought. And look, gym may not be the starting point for everybody. I can say that I love the gym from the time I was very, very young. I took pictures of Arnold from the Arnold encyclopedia, and Arnold pump the iron. Like I heard his voice when I was working out, and Arnold always drove me. And then, like everybody else, I left it at some point. I was on the mental space, whatever it being. When I made the decision that I was at the lowest point of my life, I was the heaviest I ever was. I had medical issues, and I knew I either have to fix this or I'm gonna die. That's just the fact. I made the decision finally after marinating on it. I'm gonna sign up to yoga. I'm gonna go to yoga. Yoga is gonna fix everything. And you know what? It did. It's funny because spiritually I was a different person, different mindset. Mentally I was stronger, and physically I was a lot better off. And I love yoga combined with the gym. But even if a person doesn't want to lift weights, do something, anything active. But the most important part of yoga was not the actual physical activity of it. It was the lying down in shavasana, being still with my thoughts before the class and after the class. And I plotted out subconsciously so much of my life direction of where I am today through going through daily yoga. It was it just created a new journey for me altogether. It was always me, it was always my mind, but it's a really hard thing to sit alone with your thoughts and be comfortable within one's own skin. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And it's hard to still all the voices. And I know from my own yoga practices as well, what you're talking about, when it stills and you're with your own voice, you, yourself, and you, if that's a thing, then you really gain some clarity for sure. And I think that it's such a great point, because everybody thinks about the physical, like body benefits of exercise and the gym and yoga, but there's also not just the spiritual and the mental, but it's the emotional. Because, I think it's super important when you keep a commitment to yourself. When you say, I'm going to go to yoga every day, I'm going to turn things around. What you did for yourself there was way more than the yoga itself. Is you made a commitment and you're like, yes, I am Jonathan. I'm the one that delivers on my promises to myself. And you did it. And so now you evolve, you level up to a point where you believe in yourself, you believe in your commitments to yourself, and you believe in your ability to achieve, because you kept a promise to yourself. At the end of the day, if we don't keep promises to ourselves to work out and take care of ourselves, how are we going to keep our other promises? And how are we going to believe that we can achieve?
On that talk, I always said when I went to, and I've been to a lot of yoga studios. I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of yoga studios. One thing you don't see is a bunch of people before and after class smoking. It's just not a thing.
No, yeah.
Have you ever seen one? I haven't seen one. And why? Because you're in that hot room and the breathing that's needed. You can't smoke and do that. So if you are a smoker and you're thinking about giving up smoking, maybe consider going to yoga, learn how to breathe, because a lot of us don't know actually how to breathe. We're holding our breath all the time when we're in panic situations, when we're sleeping, when we work out. When you learn the actual breath and you learn to flow, it's amazing how much clarity it gives into your mind, and it makes you into such a different person,
You make me want to breathe deeper right now.
I can feel it. Exactly. and just making that commitment, going to yoga, going to the gym, it keeps you off the streets. It keeps you from eating and like sitting. I'm bored, so I'm just gonna eat, and I'm gonna eat some more, and I'm gonna watch more TV, and I'm gonna eat some more. And I don't feel like going for a walk because I'm lazy, because I'm not lethargic. It makes you get up. It makes you go do something. You have to go to the studio. You have to do the class. You have to shower. You have to leave. It's amazing getting into this kind of routine. Now I don't feel like eating pizza every single night. I actually want to eat healthier. It's amazing how yoga or gym can start that, because all of a sudden you learn you have to eat right before and after this activity. Otherwise, the activity is not going to go very well or be productive. Good luck in doing this without drinking water. If you're a person who doesn't drink water, if you're going to some sort of activity, you're going to learn to drink water. And it's amazing how much better your body just naturally sleeps after it's been active, right? So all of a
Oh, yeah.
sudden, every other component that you should be doing in life, starting with one change, can lead to a whole bunch of other changes together. It's fabulous.
I love what you said about if you don't fuel yourself right. I just had this image of eating like half a pizza and then going into hot yoga. It just doesn't work.
I've told a lot of people, the way I think about it is very simple. Look at your body. Your body is a Ferrari. Are you putting regular gas in the Ferrari, or are you putting premium gas into your Ferrari? And are you going to do car washes for the Ferrari? Are you going to change the oil? Are you going to be, you're going to be meticulous. So why would you do that for your car and not do for yourself? And why do you think of your body as a broken down Civic versus a Ferrari? You know, put yourself in a better place. And to me, it's all about imagery. You know, it's when I'm in the gym, I'm not actually in myself doing my exercises. I can almost pull my mind out of my body, and I can picture myself doing exercise. This is what I want to look like while I'm doing it, and I'm almost working out together with my brain, picturing myself. And I did a lot of research into this, and a lot of athletes that are really successful when they win championships, how do they do it? It's all imagery. They all picture the game plan. They could see themselves doing it, and they do it. And that's where I think a lot of people, to make the decision, I want to start a gym life, I want to start exercising, start picturing yourself what you want to look like. This is, you can have that body, absolutely. And picture what you're going to look like at the gym. If you can see it, you will do it, right?
That's such great advice. And it actually applies to even in the morning when you wake up and at night before you go to sleep. I mean, if you think you're going to have a challenge about, you know, hitting the streets in the morning and going for a jog, let's say, I mean, I've heard stuff like lay out your clothes, make sure your running shoes are over there so you see them, like all these visual cues and triggers.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. One of the most important is the visualization that goes on inside your brain. And I mean, if you picture yourself lean and fit and you know, healthy and happy, and you're going to want to do whatever it takes to get to that because you've been visualizing it. So that's huge. And I think even during the gym session, that's important, you know, and I find all too often people end up on their phones. You ever notice that?
All the time.
It's like a 5-minute rest on the phone in a 30-second set. And they're just hammering out the set as fast as possible to get right back to the phone. And I'll admit, sometimes I've done business while I'm at the gym. I shouldn't actually, because I know it's inefficient. Nothing's really going to change for 45 minutes, but it's that loop we're in, that constant having to get that feedback loop. Oh, I'm busy, I'm needed, business, it's important. And we put ourselves on the back burner. And so, I don't know, going forward, I'm going to try to make a more conscious effort not to do that at the gym. And it's funny because when we have personal trainers, you don't do it. Like, I don't do it. I don't check my phone when I'm with my trainer. Because it's like disrespect, right? Not only am I paying for the time, but I feel like it's disrespect. But then why is it okay for me to disrespect my time with myself?
The person you're most disrespecting in that case is yourself.
Exactly.
And I think one of the things going back is no matter what stage you're at in gym life, it's the beginner's mindset. And I know from everything I've read, as far as world leaders of business, a lot of them have something very important in common. They all wake up very, very early in the morning. Mm-hmm. And they all did their exercise. They all have their game plan. They are already well into their list before you even wake up, for most people out there, you know? And again, who needs them at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning? Nobody. And what I tell myself when I have that urge to bring out my phone, you're not that important at the end of the day. You think you're that important, but you're not that important, because that's what, there's 24 hours in a day. How would you answer the phone if you were sleeping right now? You wouldn't. If you were in the shower, would you answer it? No, you wouldn't. So why can't you get an hour to yourself uninterrupted? Because I know what's going to happen to myself. If I'm working out on my own and I have my phone, it's a sloppy, shitty 1.5 hour workout versus a focused, amazing 45-minute 1 hour workout. So the phone has no place near the gym. And because what you're doing is you're not actually giving yourself that credit in that time, and you're not putting your full into it, and you're not going to get the results. I don't think Arnold is on his phone half the time when he's working out, or Stallone. No, they're working out. That's it. Chance. So that being said, going back full circle, for somebody who now watching this and they're saying, you know what, I really want to get into gym life, and I hear everything you guys are saying. How many days a week should I be working out? What should I be doing? George, you got a gun to your head now. What is the answer?
Really simple. It's where you're at in your journey. So if you haven't been going to the gym, just say, I'm going to go one day this week. Just commit to one day. Don't overwhelm yourself. Then add 2 days, then 3 days. If you're somebody that was pretty routine before and you've fallen off the wagon, as they say, go back to what you were doing before. Pretend like that time didn't happen. Weave it back together and go back to where you were. So there's no absolute answer. It's more about where you're at in your journey. But the main thing I would say, no matter what, is listen to your body. So that's one thing I've learned from one of our mutual coaches. His thing is you got to listen to the body. You know, Cam knows what he's talking about. Yeah, and it changed things for me. So some weeks, I'll go 7 days. Maybe I'll work out 9 times a week. Sometimes I'll double up on a day. And then other weeks I'll only work out 3 times because my body needs that time. So you'll get used to it. You got to listen to the body.
I love that. And to add to that, depending on whether you're going with trainers on your own or both, it's a really big difference. Depends how you gel with your trainer. Depends how professional your trainer is. If they're straight out of school and don't have experience versus somebody who's very experienced, but maybe, you know those trainers also, right, George? You've seen them. The ones that are on their phone half the time. They're talking to other people. They're not paying attention. They're not counting the reps. They don't care, you know? Right. So you're only getting so much value out of them. I give a little bit more of a hard, fast kind of minimum in my mind. I agree with you. And wherever you are, if you're doing nothing, you have not been to a gym, yoga studio, nothing, do something once a week. I agree with you. Start somewhere, anywhere, build up into it slowly. So go 1 day a week to the gym and 1 day a week, go for a walk. Next week, 2 weeks, whatever, maybe add 2 walks a week, whatever you got. Any kind of activity is great. The one thing I generally like to see, whatever activity you've chosen, I think the sweet spot at minimum is 3. If you can do some sort of physical activity, ultimately, I don't care if it takes you 3 years to get there, but if you can get to minimum 3 times a week, I think you're in a really good place. For some people, they're younger, they're not getting injured, they got it down. By all means, do 6 days a week if you really want to take 1 day off. But your body will tell you when all of a sudden you're breaking down and you're getting injured and now you got to take 2 weeks off because you pulled a muscle because you've gone 4 days in a row. Your body's telling you, I don't want to do 4 days in a row. You know?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it should be a bigger target. So yeah, definitely work your way up. And I mean, if you want to bring it back to like 6 days of work, 1 day of rest, you know, for various references following along those lines, then yeah, I do agree with you. I think you should work out 6 days a week, take 1 day to rest. And it makes sense. Maybe you're not hitting, you know, your max rep or, you know, your 1 rep max on every day, on every set. No, that's a recipe for, you know, failure, for injury, for problems. But be active 6 days a week at least. You're right. And I mean, biologically, evolutionarily, we're supposed to be active on a daily basis anyway. It's just a question of the magnitude of the activity. So yeah, I will retract part of what I said and said maybe start out with 1 day a week. But to your point, get up to 6 days a week. There, the gun to my head, that's my answer, 6 days a week.
See, for me, when I think of most athletes out there, they've all put yoga into their programs. If you're a football player, a wrestler, a hockey player, and I think how amazing it'd be in a perfect world. 1 day you do weights, 1 day you do yoga to stretch out, 1 day you do weights, 1 day you do yoga, 1 day you take off. And I found adding yoga into the weight training, I'm more stretched out, I'm limber, I can lift more. My cardio is better, my fitness level is better. It's amazing how yoga helps the weights and the weights help yoga and they all work together. It's the yin yang, you know. When I was doing heavy boxing and yoga were such a perfect mix together because they actually do help one another. So it doesn't have to be one or the other at the end of the day. If somebody could do both in a perfect world, fantastic. And you know, if you can't afford a yoga membership, maybe go to the studio once a week, once a month. Roll down a yoga mat in your house, open up the YouTube. You know, there's a lot of great instructors out there and they're very qualified. They put the programs on, do it on your own, whatever, you know. Even I found, George, wake up in the morning and doing a 10-minute yoga program makes a night and day difference of how my day is going to function the rest of the time. I do count that as a workout. All I put in was 10 minutes, but it's 10 minutes that created a quality 20 hours to follow.
It does count. It totally counts as a workout. You can do 10 minutes of highly intense cardio, or you can walk for an hour at a leisurely pace. They both count as a workout. It's not about the time, it's about the outcome, which is what's important.
It's just those people. I've had the people tell me I'm active, and their version of active is I do a boot camp once a year and that fixes everything. And I don't work out the rest of I work out 1 week in a year. That's it. Or I'm a runner. I bike, but I haven't run in 3 months. I haven't biked in 6 months. Well, then you're not really a runner or a biker, to be honest. And
Not
it's
at
like
all.
everything else in life. Do you want to do one activity? Are you kind of limiting yourself because maybe you should work out other parts of your body? Running is great. Sure. Enjoy running if you love it. But if your knees can handle it, by all means. You love biking, do it. But what about your upper body? What about other parts of your leg? Do you squat? Do you deadlift? It's amazing how many more things you could do with your body at the end of the day. And I think our bodies crave variety as well. We get bored, we get stagnant. If I had to eat, I love hamburgers, but if you gave me a hamburger every single day, by about week number 9, I might get bored of the hamburger.
It's
Workouts, I
not
think, are no
bad. I
different.
mean,
And that's one of the things where if you could do it on your own, great. Otherwise, it's nice how the trainer knows that, feeds you one set based on the season, based on your body, and all of a sudden go on a different route. So think about the variety as well, because if you think I just got to do this program, and if I board this program, my exercise days are over, I think you're sorely mistaken, because go take up hockey, go take up any activity. Anything is good, better than nothing.
you're right. And the cross training is so important. Yoga works your body in a different way than weights, in a different way than running, swimming. So yeah, variety is important. But I think it also comes down to something really important, which is, how do you see yourself? How do you define yourself? So you said, this person says, I'm a runner, or I'm a fit person because I do boot camp once a year. No, you don't really identify yourself as a fit person, because then it would be part of your daily, weekly, monthly lifestyle, right?
Right.
You don't decide to shower every day. You just shower every day. You don't say, oh, I'm going to eat today. It's just part of your life. You don't decide, I'm going to breathe today. So really, when you get to that point that is part of who you are, then I don't even think it'll really be a question about how many days you need to check the box a week in terms of how many, gym sessions did you get in, or workouts. It's just going to become part of your life, and it will flow. You'll be like, today I feel like going for a walk. Today I feel like yoga. And it'll just be about doing something every day. It's that consistency that leads to success.
I
And
love
so
it.
there you go. That's the answer.
That's the answer. At the end of the day, it's not a diet. It's not a quick fix. It's called a lifestyle. And when you can accept it as your lifestyle, your goals for the new year is a lifestyle. The amount of times you exercise, that's a lifestyle. I love it.
Are
Absolutely.
you living a life by choice? The chosen life.
Chosen life. Absolutely.
Right?
That was the whole point of the podcast. Everybody wants to live the chosen life, and chosen life consists of many, many, many facets, including our third topic of the day. New Year's are here. We're all driving around in the wintertime, and I know as men, women too, everybody loves cars, and we live in Canada, Ontario. And if you love cars, the one thing is your cars don't love the salt, and snow and salt and the winter tires. It's like you drive to you go to California, and every second car is a convertible. It's a classic car. They can do that out there. We can't do that here. So my question to you today for topic number 3 is as follows. What do you drive for the winter? When you think about it, what is the better way to go? I've seen people that got their winter beaters. They're like, you know what? The car's going to get eaten alive anyway, so I'm just going to drive a beater. It's fine. I don't care how it really looks, as long as it's a good, reliable car. Versus I want a kick-ass car. I want an expensive car. I want to drive the best thing in the winter. What are your thoughts on what we drive in the winter?
That's a good one. And it's not an easy one to answer either. Maybe that's why it's a good topic.
I'm a lawyer, buddy. It's not black and white. It's all matters of gray, right?
Let me put some spin on it then. So I think that there's two perspectives to it. There's the internal and the external, and how you identify with yourself. So I don't think one's ego should get too far ahead that they need to always be driving the most bling car or the nicest car. But if you identify as somebody who drives a nice car, and that's part of your self-identification, you feel good about it, and it helps you to show up better, then go ahead and invest in a nicer car for the winter. But as with all things, balance, right? So that's where it comes from internal. But if you're doing it because you think about how you're going to be perceived, one, you're not living your life for the right reasons, because it should come from the inside out. And two, you don't really need to think about that, because everybody in Canada can get away with saying, oh, that's my winter beater anyway.
Absolutely.
So I think the answer is, if you feel good and it makes you fuller and show up better to spend a little bit more on a winter vehicle, then so be it.
It's what you want it to be.
Exactly.
It's what you want to be. But it kills me when it's a snowy day and I see a Porsche in front of me, and it looks like a fairly new Porsche. It's got nice rims. The salt is bouncing off the car, and I'm like, oh, what are they doing? It's like massacring like the Mona Lisa. How can you do this? And you're driving a car that should give you a lot of prestige and feel good, but anybody who understands in cars are all cringing watching this person driving their Porsche in the winter.
Well, actually, you know, it's funny you should say that. So, and just plain speak, I see that and I ask myself, either they're so rich that they don't care, which is just kind of wasteful,
Yes.
right? Or they've spent so much of their disposable income on this one vehicle that they have no choice but to drive it in the winter.
That's true too. Like I could tell you my first car ever was an older Camaro, and it didn't cost very much money, and that's all I could drive. It was There's no air conditioning for the summer, and it was rear wheel drive for the winter. So you have to put salt bags in the trunk because the car would fishtail all the time.
I had a Trans Am, same thing.
I did not have fun with that car at all, and I don't know if anybody could do it. And as soon as there's any mention of ice or anything, good, like even if you're on a little curb inside of in a parking lot, you're not climbing that little roadway. You're stuck. It's a nightmare. So for those people who are driving their Porsches and Ferraris, you know, the message is please stop doing that. Don't drive that in the winter. Please get anything else. But that being said, it's an aesthetics look kind of view, but it's also a safety point of view. Ultimately, when you're trying to pass lanes and you're driving a sports performance rear wheel car in the winter, it's not meant for that whatsoever.
No.
You're better off having that, 1990 shitbox, rusty, whatever, but it's a heavy, good, solid car. But on the other hand, a car that won't start very often or may give you issues, we don't want that either. There's a lot of reliable cars that don't have to cost a lot of money. They don't have to look the best. But that being said, there are cars with, like, if you drive a brand new SUV 4x4 that has the latest in safety and ride control and all that kind of stuff, it may give you an advantage. It may in fact save your life versus a car that doesn't have any of that technology built in.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, I guess it's all about balance, right? So that's the word that kept coming to mind, is balance. So, I mean, I can tell you my story in a minute about how I put myself in a situation that I had to get a winter beater of sorts. But, when I was thinking about this, I thought to myself, it's about that balance. So my background's Greek, right? So I'm half Greek. And so I grew up with the plastic on the furniture at my grandparents' house in the living room because you had to put it in plastic and you had to keep it safe and you didn't want to ruin it. And so that mentality of, like, you have something nice, you got to preserve it. You got to keep it, you got to, protect it and keep it nice and not use it, or only use it on super special occasions. Yeah. And so, what happened to my grandparents' furniture? Nothing. It never got used. And now it's who knows where it is, given away or whatever. Yep. Or, my father did that with a car. Yep. And, his first brand new car. And now the car is so old, it's not worth anything because it's not a collector's. So my learning, or my takeaway from that, is live your life in the moment, be reasonable, and enjoy what you have. Obviously, don't pretend like there's no tomorrow, because you're going to make foolish decisions, but enjoy the moment and have a certain amount of balance. Right? If you try to keep everything good for the future, you'll never have it in the present.
I can't tell you how many times I bought like a nice jacket, a nice pair of pants, and I said, nah, we're on a special occasion. It's cost too much. I don't feel comfortable wearing this very often. And what happened 5 years down the road, it's out of fashion. I never wore it. I never got to enjoy it. And what am I going to do with it now? It's the saddest thing. So yeah, no, but on that token as well, our winters are not that long relatively. Like, we're talking really bad 3 months, maybe 4 months. It's actually not what it used to be. And so on that token, if you can get a safe, if you have a car that's not meant to be driven in the winter and doesn't look good being driven in the winter regardless, and you can afford it, by all means. If that's all, if you put every last penny into that one possession, you may need to question, do I really need this possession at the end? Maybe I'm better off having one good multi-purpose car, and that's it. It's like people I've seen and growing up, they're living in a rented apartment in not the best area, but they're driving a BMW and they got a big screen TV and they got a leather couch. And where's your money going at the end of the day? Are you using it for the right things at the end of the day? And yeah, you can have a nice flashy car, but if it's at the expense of where you're living, is that really worth it? If it's a flashy car, but it's not really serving you well year round, or it's the best safe car, is that really what you need and want, you know?
Oh, I think we have a whole nother topic for another episode. Please do bring me back because I'd love to touch on money, right? Money and getting your money right. That's such a big topic and so important.
It's absolutely true, you know, and a constant theme in all our topics today, really, a lot of it and everything in life, it really comes down to money at the end of the day. I have these goals. Do I need money? Can I afford it? Do I not afford it? You know, do I invest money in myself in the gym? Do I invest money in the kind of car I drive? Can I afford to have a second car as a beater if I need to, you know? And a lot of this does fall down to economics. And I can't tell you how many times people have been held back in general in life because they said, I just can't simply afford this at the end of the day. But there's the old adage, you know, you got to spend money to make money.
100%. And it's funny as you were saying that, I thought of Richard Kiyosaki, and he talked about his rich dad and his poor dad, vice versa. And his rich dad would say, how can I afford this? Not I can't afford this. What do I need to do to afford it? So if it's something of value, something, you know, well designed in a chosen life, this is what you choose for your life, then you'll figure out how to make it happen. And you just got to bring it into perspective, balance. But yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people, to your point about spending and having the big screen TV, the leather couch, and the bling flashy car, and then they go home to the rented place. And again, there's nothing wrong with a rented place, but the point is,
No, not at all.
you're not living within your means. It's like, it makes me think of an expression my father would say. He'd talk about closet millionaires. And I was a kid and I said, Dad, what's a closet millionaire? He's like, son, it's the guy that rolls up in the Ferrari, flashes in the parking lot, and then says, see you later. And he goes home to his broom closet. So the point is that he's trying to live a life he doesn't have. So it's an inauthentic life. It's lacking authenticity and realism. So that person's not really happy. So, you know, we need to clarify that too. It's about living a real, authentic, chosen life and being intelligent about your finances.
I've seen the people that are most successful that I've seen that are self-starters, they bought the most house that they could afford. And they said, I'm going to furnish it later when I can afford that. That is secondary to me. I will renovate it. I will paint it. But most important for me is the big outlay as far as how I'm putting the foundation of my life versus I'm going to get the flashiest furniture and I'm going to get the flashiest car. And then I will build my home around it later. It doesn't really work that way. So it's interesting how you approach it. And that's where, you know, it always comes back to me for health, life, fitness. When you say, I will work out, I will do this when I can afford it. No, if you want to be successful, if you want to make something yourself, you need to be physically fit and mentally fit. You can't afford not to invest in yourself. You invest in yourself, you're going to produce a lot better. You're going to invest in the machine. If the machine isn't, if you think so little of yourself that I can't justify spending on myself and my health, you probably will not be motivated to do other things in your life.
Completely true. And people are taking advantage of the compound effect, which is a cool book I just finished listening to on Audible. But basically, the compounding effect doesn't just work for finances, it works for your life. You can't spend 20 years saying, I'm not going to go to the gym, I'll worry about my fitness once I settle into my career. No, you're going to be too far behind the 8 ball, too far gone. So all aspects of your life, all the pillars, compounding effect or the compounding effect is working on all of them all the time. So your health, what you choose to drive in the winter, whether you choose to buy a practical all-purpose vehicle, you know, deferring, you know, current pleasure for future gain, right? It's so important, so important. And I mean, I don't know, I'm a firm believer in it. So,
well, that's why you are who you are, and that's why your life is in the direction it's on, you know. And kudos to you, and that's what made you a special person and the clear chosen guest for the first ever Chosen Life podcast.
Thank you.
George, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, especially during the holidays, for me and for us, and joining us today on the Chosen Life podcast. I already have this recorded, so we have your word that you will be coming back, correct?
Yes, please. Do I have your word that I'll be back?
1000%, my friend. You keep planting those seeds, and I'll keep watering the plants, my friend.
Wonderful, and thank you so much, because I can't think of a better way to set myself up for the new year than to be on your show this New Year's Eve day. So really appreciate it.
Thank you. Same, and having your energy, and I'm ready to start the year now. I'm like ready to go guns a-blazing, and it's gonna be a fantastic year. 2022. It's gonna be freaking awesome. And we will definitely, you know what, we should even make sure, regardless, we'll have you back during the year, but we will come back and see the start of 2023, how 2022 went.
Yeah, for sure. That would be amazing. And I hope everybody comments as they're watching this episode and talks about how maybe it helped them and maybe a couple of things that they found really valuable, right? Because that might be fuel for future topics for you too. So I'm just really, really excited to see where the Chosen Life podcast goes. I think it's awesome. So thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
Sky's the limit, man. Sky is always the limit. There are no boundaries, you know. And I highly encourage everybody to please on our YouTube channel, on Spotify, please like us, subscribe. You'll see our handles here. Myself as Chosen Lawyer, George Tremis. Feel free to reach out to either of us, both of us on Instagram and on social media. If you have any questions, topic ideas, if anything particularly resonated with you that you wanted to share or had questions, we'd love feedback and love to hear from the public. And ultimately, we're both here for the same purpose. We're trying to build our lives, and nothing more satisfying than seeing it and helping others grow theirs.
Cheers to the Chosen Life.
The Chosen Life, buddy. 2022.
Gun show.
Cheers. Thank you.
Take care.
Wait a minute. Are we still running? Well, I know you already hit the subscribe button, the like button to say how much you love this episode, and the notification bell so you get notified of all our future episodes. But you still feel like you want more. Well, when you're ready to contact the Chosen Lawyers at Cormans LLP, we are here to help you. Whether you're looking to close a real estate transaction, a refinance, a corporate commercial matter like a lease, a shareholder agreement, an incorporation, you need a will or power of attorney prepared, a family law matter comes up, contact the Chosen Lawyers. We are here for you. So how do you get in touch with us? It's really simple. You go onto our website, go to cormans.ca, that's KORMANS.ca, fill out the contact form, and a Chosen Lawyer will get in touch with you. So it's very easy. We look forward to seeing you very soon. And thank you very much for watching The Chosen Life. We'll see you back very shortly.